America's stuck job market. The DeepFake cyber bullies, pay attention, and American companies feel the pinch. This is the Foundation Current Events, December 22nd, 2025. I am Sot L, Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the Foundation, where we understand incorrect information incorrectly applied can get you hurt. Correct information incorrectly applied can get you hurt. But we're always looking to correctly apply that correct information here at the Foundation. Let's get into these current events, y'all. I trust you had a great weekend. It was luxurious. Got, spend time with the fam. I trust, if you do have family in town, that it's going great. No stress. No stress. It's a wonderful time of the year, but not for the news. Let's jump into this. We have the usual. Welcome to the foundation.com. At the minimum, sign up for the email list. You can sign up right here in this little box. If you haven't already, enter your email to join our email list. Right there, we still have some time. Foundation Trustee training, currently running 50% off the one-time startup fee for every single tier we offer with Trustee training here at the Foundation. If you would like to take advantage of this, as well as be entered for, what do we got? We got an iPad left. We might have a pair of AirPods as well. So, got a couple of things to give away. It's the season. You invest in your private education, you may get something extra. Admin at welcometothefoundation.com or support at welcometothefoundation.com, whichever one you can remember. Admin at Welcome to the Foundation, support at Welcome to the Foundation. Either way, we'll get you sorted, we'll get you taken care of. But yeah, check out welcometothefoundation.com. Let's jump into it. The U.S. pursuing a third vessel near Venezuela, hours after stealing a boat. I like how they say U.S. and not America, because that's actually true. The United States is pursuing another vessel off the coast of Venezuela. The second such operation this weekend. The United States Guard, maybe they meant Coast Guard. The United States Coast Guard, I'm gonna throw it in there, is in active pursuit of a sanctioned dark fleet vessel that is part of Venezuela's illegal sanctions evasion, said a U.S. official who went on to say, quote, "It is flying a false flag and under a judicial seizure order," end quote. What's the false? I'm interested. Another official said the tanker was under sanctions, but added that it had not been boarded so far and that its interceptions can take different forms, including sailing or flying close to vessels of concern. I don't know what to say about this. This is an escalation I personally didn't see happening. Very, very, South America's, also known as Southwest. It's very close to where we are. As Americans, we're used to things happening very far away from us. This is different. NBC News: power restored to most customers after massive outage left San Francisco in the dark. You probably heard about this. The significant outage began affecting the city at around 1:09 p.m. Saturday and reached its peak 2 hours later, with 130,000 homes and businesses affected. This is according to PG&E. Sunday, the bulk of outages appeared to be in the heavily residential Richmond district, sandwiched between Golden Gate Park on the south and Presidio on the north. About 50,000 utility customers in the city remained in the dark by noon Sunday. The cause of the outage was not immediately clear, but at least some of it resulted from a fire at a substation. Oh, it's not immediately clear, but the fire happened at a PG&E substation and then power went out. You see how they talk to us, right? The company said the fire was extensive and repairs and safe restoration will be complex. We have mobilized every available engineer and electrician into the city as part of the restoration work. I don't know if everybody got their power back. I trust everyone did. This is the thing. We gotta have emergency supplies. AI hiring. Let me show you why. Someone asked me, why do you do that? This is why. See that? And I can't scroll. I can't do anything, right? So if I click this little reader up here, I can read it. Don't tell anyone because some sites don't even let me do this. I got to do extra stuff. But let's do a dance. AI hiring is here. It's making companies and job seekers miserable. More than half of the organizations surveyed by the Society for Human Resource Management use AI to recruit workers in 2025. And an estimated third of ChatGPT users reportedly leaned on the OpenAI chatbot to help with their job search. However, recent research found that when job seekers use AI during the process, applicants are less likely to be hired. Meanwhile, companies are fielding an increased volume of applications. You just got to understand, AI is going to recognize AI. And, listen, Quillbot, Quilbot. Just throw it in the search. Listen, if you're going to use AI, you have to use what is known, I don't know if it's known, but I call it a word scrambler. It basically changes the words up, different sayings. You can make it sound formal. You can make it sound like a doctor. You can make it sound, there's a lot of settings in this thing. But listen, be smart. Be smart. Use your noodle, because the more that you lean on artificial intelligence, the less you know how to do yourself. And we already have people who will fix your sewers, who will do your floors, who will drywall, who will mud it, who will paint. There's a lot of things, you follow what I'm saying, that we don't know how to do. I feel as though doing research, especially on the internet, which is fingertips away, we should not delegate that, especially to artificial intelligence. Quote, the ability for companies to select the best worker today may be worse due to AI. It's from Aeneas Galden, a Dartmouth. I know it's Dartmouth, but I say Dartmouth researcher who co-authored a study looking at how large language models have impacted cover letters. The researchers found that after the introduction of ChatGPT in 2022, the letters all got longer and better written, but companies stopped putting so much stock into them. That made it harder to distinguish a qualified hire from the rest of the applicant pool, and the rate of hiring dropped, as did the average wage. See, I think this is a component that people don't even look into, that, something that is very difficult to contemplate. Did anyone, I didn't, did anyone take into consideration that, hey, just by using AI in my job search, with my cover letters, with my resume, it reduces my chance of being hired, and it reduces the chance of the average starting wage. If we do nothing to make information flow better between workers and firms, then we might have an outcome that looks something like this. And with more applications to review, employers are automating the interview itself. A majority, which is 54% of U.S. job seekers surveyed by recruiting software firm Greenhouse in October, said they've had an AI-led interview. Virtual interviews exploded in popularity during the panorama in 2020. Many companies now use AI to ask the questions, but that hasn't made the process any less subjective. Quote, algorithms can copy and even magnify human biases. Every developer needs to be wary of that. And I've personally worked with large language models. I've worked with them locally, meaning they're not in the cloud. I have the model myself and I run it locally on my own hardware that does not have an internet connection. And I'm able to interact with the language model through a terminal window. And, I don't mind that. I don't need it to be all cute and cuddly. But I will tell you, there's been many times where I've been prompting these language models, and I'm talking about, I use DeepSeek. I use multiple models because it's my own system. I use multiple models, and it's been many times that I've gotten the AI to go into a loop, and it'll even say it. It seems like I've caught myself in a loop, and it'll just keep going, and it just starts spitting out goobly stuff, man. Goobly guy. And the more they're creating Skynet, yo. I know we talked about this on last current events, but this is very significant, and I'm trying to just raise awareness. Americans have a new thing to worry about: a stuck job market with no quick fix. The latest jobs report had its share of shutdown-related quirks, but a familiar theme cut through the noise. U.S. labor market is stuck in a rut. Let's move on. The agentic AI era is here, but we must lead it responsibly. I don't know if you've heard anything about these agentic AIs or AI agents. This is Forbes.com. We're not waiting for agentic AI era to arrive. Wow, we're already living in it. AI agents aren't just passive responders. They're proactive collaborators shaping experiences with growing autonomy. If your organization isn't designing for this reality, you're already behind the curve. It's a bit like stepping into a new era, bold, expressive, and unapologetic, agentic. The latest album celebrates reinvention and performance with purpose, but even this rollout faced scrutiny when fans suspected generative AI in promotional assets. For a brand built on authenticity, the backlash was immediate. Gartner predicts, authenticity meets autonomy, why values must guide the machines. Gartner predicts that by 2026, 40% of enterprise applications will use agent-based workflows. It's a reminder that in the agentic AI era, every decision from a chatbot's tone to a marketing video's production method must reflect your values. And that's where guardrails come in. I've seen firsthand how agentic AI can transform industries, but only when it's built with integrity. Here are 5 principles I've learned during my time helping organizations create AI agents. So AI agents, they're so much cheaper than regular employees, human resources, to be specific. So, you basically lease these artificial intelligence agents, and they do tasks and jobs appointed to them. And through the level of autonomy or free reign that has allowed the AI agent, and may start doing other things, basically taking other people's jobs. Something to pay attention to. Associated Press, an American dream at risk. What happens to a small Nebraska town when 3,200 workers lose their jobs? On a frigid day after Mass at St. Anne's Catholic Church in rural Nebraska, worshipers shuffled into the basement and sat on folding chairs. their faces barely masking the fear gripping their town. Appal, I don't know. Pale, I don't know. I'm not, there's language, there's regional, there's distinctions. I don't know what that word is, y'all, but I don't know how to pronounce it. A pale hung over the room, just as it hung over the holiday season in Lexington, Nebraska. Quote, suddenly they tell us that there's no more work. Your world closes in on you. This is Alejandra Gutierrez. Man, I did that pretty well. I didn't even have to try 3 times, y'all. I'm proud of myself. She and the others work at a Tyson's Food beef plant and are among the 3,200 people who will lose their jobs when Lexington's biggest employer closes the plant next month after more than 2 decades of operation. And, 2 decades. I'm sure there's multiple generations of family members that have worked there. Communities plant, this is going to tear up more than just the workers. This is going to tear up the city, the community, the town. Hundreds of families may be forced to pack up and leave the town of 11,000. So 11,000 minus 3,200, heading east. Not even that, because you got to assume that of those 3,200 employees, the majority of them at least have spouses, likely children, pets. So we're talking, like, we could easily be talking about close to half the town. Okay, so heading east to Omaha or Iowa or south to the meatpacking towns of Kansas or beyond, causing layoffs in Lexington restaurants, barbershops, grocers, convenience stores, and taco trucks. More than that. Losing 3,000 jobs in a city of 10,000 to 12,000 people is as big a closing event as we've seen virtually for decades. All told, the job losses are expected to reach 7,000, largely in Lexington and surrounding counties, according to estimates from University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Tyson employees alone will lose an estimated $241 million in pay and benefits annually. Tyson says it's closing the plant to, quote, right size, end quote, its beef business after a historically low cattle herd in the U.S. and the company's expected loss of $600 million on beef production next fiscal year. And then why is that? I think it has a lot to, possibly 3D printing food. I've seen videos, people finding 3D printed chicken and steaks and stuff. Stuff is crazy. They're going to get better at it, though. There's going to be a point where you're really not going to be able to tell. It's unfortunate, but when you extrapolate along the timeline far enough, I'm trolling. Associated Press, most U.S. adults aren't making year-end charitable contributions, which is significant. Most Americans are not making end-of-year charitable giving plans, according to results of a new AP NORC poll. AppNorc. That's interesting. Despite it's an what is it? Not an anagram, but wow, I'm drawing a blank. Despite the many fundraising appeals made by nonprofits that rely on donation surges in the calendar's final month to reach budget targets. The survey, which was conducted in early December, found that about half of U.S. adults said they've already made their charitable contributions for 2025. Just 18% say they've donated and will donate again before the year is over. Only 6% report they haven't given yet, but will do so by December's end. The rest, 30%, haven't donated and don't plan to. So, and I think this is significant because in the United States, at least, if you donate money to a public charity, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a tax advisor, I don't give legal advice, I don't give tax advice, I don't give pet training advice, I don't give window washing advice, none of it. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. This is, you got me? In the United States, individuals can donate up to 50% of their adjusted gross income to a public charity and up to 30% of their AGI to a private charity. And a lot of times you'll find that, especially, I would say mid to high middle class, and then, the higher classes probably weren't even surveyed, but middle to high or upper middle class. That's what it is, not high class. It's middle to upper middle class, right? Look forward to that tax benefit because it reduces their taxable income. And generally can reduce their tax bracket because they get a charitable deduction on their taxes. So this is, the only time, in my opinion, that you would see numbers like this is if people weren't making enough money to where the tax deduction would be beneficial, or if people don't have any money left over. And I think it could be a combination of both due to inflation, what we've been dealing with since the panorama, as well as what's going on with, AI, what's going on with all these job cuts, these, closings, layoffs, all of it. But I think this is very significant. I think this is very significant right here. Let's move forward. This is Yahoo Finance via Reuters. Reuters is one of those websites that wants you to log in, but when I do the thing that I can do with the other site, Reuters caught on to that. They don't let me do that. So this is Yahoo Finance, but it's a Reuters. It's a Reuters. You know what I'm saying? It's a Reuters dance. U.S. watchdog says paycheck advance is no longer subject to lending law, and this is important. Basically, those who are getting paycheck advances are going to lose protections. U.S. Consumer Finance Agency said today that popular earned wage advances on worker paychecks do not resemble consumer loans, revising course from guidance that the regulator put out last year under the previous administration. In an advisory opinion, the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau said most paycheck advances were not subject to the Truth in Lending Act, meaning that companies that offer the products are not required to provide workers with certain disclosures, such as the cost and terms of credit. And when they say workers, they're talking about people who are employed, people who are getting the paycheck advances from these companies, those workers. The opinion is not legally binding, but is intended to provide clarity for industry participants. A growing number of providers offer paycheck advances, including digital bank Chime, which allows customers to access up to $500 of their wages, interest-free, before payday with no mandatory fees. Several states, including Nevada and Wisconsin, have specified in state law that such products are not loans, but Congress has not passed a law clarifying the issue on a federal level. Last year, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau had released interpretive guidance that moved to set federal guardrails for the fast-growing market, stipulating that paycheck advances were equivalent to consumer loans and arguing that doing so would provide greater transparency for consumers, and that's what you need. You need to know what you're getting yourself into. This stuff can become very, very predatory, or much more predatory, very, very quickly. Under the current administration, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has moved to walk back several of the agency's actions under the previous administration, advancing Trump's effort to curtail policy he views as a burden on businesses. Pay attention. As you know, cash becomes more and more scarce, because it is. And it's going to get it, it may for a lot of us get a little worse before it gets better. Pay attention to what are your necessities and what are your wants, and put your wants on the back burner, and then be very clear and honest with yourself about what necessities are. Seriously. The Fed is printing or liquidizing, whatever, printing currency, T-bills and whatnot. So what was previously known as quantitative easing has begun technically, but it's going to take several months before the people start feeling relief from this squeeze that's been tightening since the panorama. So y'all, stay vigilant. Jim Beam, cloudy future for bourbon, has Jim Beam closing Kentucky distillery for a year. And a lot of times, we're going to close it for a year, and it doesn't open back up. And if you close if you shut down operation of any manufacturing, any machine, let alone multiple machines and systems and computers and so on and so forth, for a year, it doesn't just start back up and act like everything's okay. And then you got to take into consideration what happens to plumbing, like sewers, when they're not used for a year. What happens to the pipes? I don't know if y'all remember back in the panorama, there was a big thing when people were going back to their jobs, especially like these skyscraper jobs, going downtown, having to work in them buildings and stuff, because that water had sat in the pipes for so long. And it was a health hazard. They had to, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses had to spend money to clean out, the plumbing for health reasons. So you have that. This is wild. Bourbon maker Jim Beam is halting production at one of his distilleries in Kentucky for at least a year as the whiskey industry navigates tariffs from the Trump administration and slumping demand for a product that needs years of aging before it is ready. Notice how they threw that in there? Tariffs, Trumps, but our demand is low. But them tariffs, man, our demand is low, y'all. So let's figure out who Jim Beam said the decision to pause bourbon making at its Claremont location in 2026 will give the company time to invest in improvements at the distillery. The bottling and warehouse at the site will remain open, along with James B. Beam Distilling Company Visitor Center and Restaurant. Okay, so the restaurant's going to stay open, and they're still going to be bottling stuff. Well, it's likely that they're going to ship the product from other locations and have it bottled there. The company's larger distillery in Boston, Kentucky will continue to operate. Quote, "We are always assessing production levels to best meet consumer demand." And added they were talking with the distilleries union to determine whether there will be layoffs or other reductions. Bourbon makers have to gamble well into the future. Jim Beam's flagship bourbon requires at least 4 years of aging in barrels before being bottled. That's interesting. Who figured it out? It was like, yo, I'm just gonna make this corn whiskey. And hold on, I'm just gonna leave it in this barrel for like 4 years and see what happens. I'm sure that's not how it happened, but I think it's funny. How does Pittsburgh have 20,000 vacant homes and a housing shortage? The housing market is expensive. Loans are very hard to get. A lot of people have been laid off. It's very difficult to find a job. I don't know. A reporter walked up the front steps one windy day this November to take a closer look, peered through the front window and saw something that doesn't belong inside a house. The sky. Both stories are caved into the basements. Well, there's that too, man. And don't go to Detroit if you think this is bad. Listen, pause. Story time. I like to, view myself as, a baby real estate, supervisor. Not a boss, not a mogul, little supervisor, So, in the acquiring of real estate over the years, one expensive, ridiculous gamble I made was sight unseen through a bidding process online with the city of the D. Just snatched me up a duplex, y'all. I mean, how bad could it be? Fam, you have no idea how bad it could have been. None. Zero. Got a couple quotes. Yo. And it was a whole thing. I picked up on the game, right? I was like, okay, So these people that I'm getting quotes from, they know what's happening, and they know that there's people, out of towners, is what we call them, coming in trying to do a dance. I know they was taxing. I already know, no cap. It was like a racket on top of a racket on top of like 3 different hustles. You know how you can just feel it in the air? Man, I have never, ever, we talking Section 8, commodities, back in the day, food stamps, like for real, when there was actually paper, when it was ugly papers, USDA on, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, food stamps, roaches, mice. I've had a rough life, particularly closer to childhood, and adolescence. But man, I have seen some things, man, but I have never, ever seen anything like I've seen when I walked into the back door of that duplex because we couldn't get into the front door. It was atrocious. The stairs were missing. You open the front door, I had to peel, what is it? What you call it? Plywood. I had to peel the plywood off the front of the joint to get inside. Oh, I walk in because, it's 2 doors. Generally the in a duplex, the right door is for the first unit on that level, and the left door generally goes upstairs. Fam, open the left door, no stairs. You understand what I'm saying? It was like a hallway, like a little closet. I walked through, bent the corner, and there's stairs way up there. Fam, I think maybe I dunked once or twice in my life, fam. But it was no thing for me to grab the rim. Nothing. Man, I couldn't have grabbed that. It was over 10. Look, neighbors, the people across the street was coming over. I mean, you know what type of neighborhood I was in. And it's no thing, man. It's nothing. I ain't scared of my own people, let alone scared, period. It's no thing. So that wasn't the issue. The issue is people was coming, and I'm sorry, I'm digressing, y'all. People was coming up to me telling me that I need to burn it down. People was telling me that I need to stop. It's got bad energy. It was one of the worst experiences in my real estate supervising career that I've ever dealt with. So Pittsburgh, if you open the front door and you can see the sky, I'm gonna tell you straight up, it wasn't that bad. But there was no windows, man. And we talking, that thing sat there for like a good 7-8 years with no windows. And anyone who knows, Detroit is in Michigan. Michigan is in the Midwest. The Midwest has 4 seasons. Snow. Yes, snow. And then mad April showers. Mad April, March showers. May, June showers. It was tore up. I've never seen anything like that. But this right here, walked up the front steps, peered through the front window, and saw the sky. Both stories are caved into the basement. The story of how it went from being a structurally sound owner-occupied home of a middle-class Pittsburgher in 2025 to a heap of rubble, threatening adjacent structures, is also a story of how a city that has shrunk in population by more than 50% since 1950 finds itself so short on affordable housing. Sounds like Detroit. And, people from the D, I'm not hating. There's a lot of culture in Detroit. A lot. There's a lot of good brothers and sisters in Detroit. A lot. I never felt in fear of my safety in Detroit. And, I move around late, early, don't matter. Never felt it. A lot of good spots to go eat, to go chill in Detroit. But I'm gonna tell you, you be driving and it's like block to block. You can roll through Detroit and you dip through a block and it'd be super, man, wow, it's immaculate. Hit the next block, fam. Civil War. Like relic type houses, man. And yeah, there's some roofs caved in. The one I didn't grab, the roof wasn't caved in. It might as well have been, no. It was bad. Bad. It was really bad. Pittsburgh has more than, you tell them, I'm like traumatized from that thing. Man. Pittsburgh has more than 20,000 vacant housing units, according to the U.S. Census Bureau estimates. This is about 15% of its total stock. Thousands are unlivable or so-called dead-end properties for which the owner died or departed without making arrangements to transfer ownership and left a tangible title. Quote, because the city is not foreclosing, we're not intervening. These properties are simply inaccessible to the average person, end quote. And, hey, why do you think the city's not foreclosing? I think, man, there's so much in this. Let's keep it moving. Instacart ends AI-driven pricing tests that pushed up costs for some shoppers. Oh, y'all, I'm telling you about this artificial intelligence. Copper. See, look, I'm just going to show y'all again. This is CNN, by the way. CNN is still slipping. Can you see this? They put the view. I ain't viewing no plans. Who pays for the news, man? In 2025, often strung from utility poles or buried beneath our feet, copper wire has played a critical role in powering America's electrical grid for more than a century. But brazen thefts are threatening the grid, with thieves climbing onto car roofs to cut down telephone lines or prying open manholes in broad daylight to strip copper wiring. The effects have been felt nationwide, roads and bridges going dark, 911 calls that fail to connect, and higher utility bills as replacement costs get passed on to consumers. The price of copper has driven the thefts, said one detective at the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department who requested anonymity. Wow. Anonymity. I be trying to do extra with the words. Due to the undercover nature of his role, this year copper prices have reached all-time highs on a jump in new data center construction and speculation about new tariffs by the Trump administration. In the United States, copper prices have climbed more than 30% this year, just this year. And, in the early 2020s, before, like in the late 2010s, 2017, 2018, 2016, 2019 even, I used to do, like seminars. We would do this stuff in person. And most of the time, one of the key note topics of the seminar was real money. It's real money. And if you can go back and you can look at shows on YouTube, on Rumble, where I've talked about real money. And, I said years ago to buy silver. I was buying silver when it was under $10. I was buying silver when it's $13, $15, $17, $22. Look at it now. It's over 60. It's almost 70. So I'm not saying that because I'm the man. I'm not saying that it's because I study and because I listen that I've been able to see this. So I'm going to tell you this. When I tell you this, please listen to what I'm saying. All nickels that you can get your hands on, save them. You hear me? This is Uncle Sot. Every nickel you can get your hands on, save them. And every single penny that says 1982 or before, 1982, keep it. Anything before 1982, keep it. This is going to be the easiest way that you can get in on this. I'm also going to say you should dollar cost average and buy silver every 2 weeks, every month. And dollar cost average means take $100, take $50, take whatever you can do every month that doesn't hurt you. You don't notice the money's gone. Well, you don't notice that the currency is gone. How about that? Let me be specific. But you do it every single time you get paid. Every single time. $50, $25, $100, doesn't matter. Find a We Buy Gold spot. The best spots to go because they yak people when they purchase the gold because they know people are going to be desperate. So they yak people. So you're going to get the best price if you're dealing with them and you're cool and you're informed. But, those other spots and stuff, but those We Buy Gold spots, those are the spots where I like to go get stuff. $50, $100, $20, every single paycheck. Go there and get whatever currency amount that you can afford. Every single, listen, you will thank me. You will thank me. And people, that's a lot of money, $60, $70. Listen, in 2 years, you will be punching yourself in the face for not, I'm serious, trust me. But that's not legal advice. It's not tax advice. It's not financial advice. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm crazy, man. I lost it. I'm in a bathtub with 14 rubber duckies. I don't have the capacity in my mind to be giving you any advice at all. But this thing that you're seeing with copper isn't going to change. It's part of the reason why they're no longer coining pennies, y'all. So when they're gone, they're gone. 1982 and prior. Nickels, the same thing. It costs too much to produce them. It costs more to produce them than the actual value in circulation. Picture that. Let me move forward because I'm getting long-winded. 11-year-old leads cops on a car chase in Ohio after kids learn to steal vehicles on YouTube. A careful kid led police on a chase in what officials said was a stolen car on Saturday. He was 11. Okay, so tragic. These headlines are not good because, the legislation that can come from headlines like this are going to be very, very restrictive on the Bill of Rights. Holla if you hear me. DeepFake. The rise of deepfake cyberbullying poses a growing problem for schools. I don't know if y'all don't know what deepfakes are. A deepfake is basically a video that isn't real. It got someone, it probably could be you. All someone has to do is take a photo of you, or maybe a couple of photos of you. And, in the age of Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, all these selfies, it's ridiculous, y'all. All they need is a photo or a few, and they can create a video with speech and everything that looks like you're doing something. The challenge for schools was highlighted this fall when AI-generated nude images swept through a Louisiana middle school. 2 boys ultimately were charged, but not before one of the victims was expelled for starting a fight with the boy she accused of creating the images of her and her friends. Yeah, it's serious. Now, this has more implications beyond just cyberbullying. This has implications with regards to security, financial security. What if you get a video call from one of your grandchildren or one of your children saying that they're being held by the cartel and, there's a gun to their head and they need you to send them, and listen, you follow what I'm saying? This technology, artificial intelligence, which allows for deep fakes. I mean, not only is it going to bring great things like wonderful cinematic masterpieces on the silver screen, really funny commercials when you're watching the Super Bowl, but this stuff has a corresponding negativity inherently baked into it that has not been accounted for, y'all. It has not been accounted for. You need to be careful, stay vigilant. Watch your children. Talk to your children. Why the chocolate in your holiday candy could be fake this year. Y'all pay attention to cocoa prices? Listen, here's another quick story. I'm not even going to lie. I got wind of cocoa prices about 2 years ago, bought a whole bunch. I got a whole bunch of cocoa. It's crazy. I'll probably never use all this cocoa in the rest of my life. I'm one of those people, though. One of my friends put me on to the shutdown and I was going to say interest rates, the inflation that we're dealing with, the currency. He was like, listen, price is going to get crazy. So if you want it, buy it now. And this was 2019. I have a 3D printer in the box. Still haven't opened it from 2019. I'm just one of those people. I'm getting better. But man, do I got a lot of cocoa, y'all. But anyways. And if you're unwrapping chocolate this holiday season, it might not contain any actual cocoa. I'm telling you, my chocolate got cocoa in it, y'all. There's no problem with that over here. Market turbulence, ethical concerns, and sustainability questions have sparked a movement among some chocolate makers to scrap cocoa in favor of alternative ingredients, prompting calls that the real deal could soon become a luxury for consumers. Now I know what I'm about to do with this cocoa. Man, we about to corner the black market. Yo, I got, what do they call them? I got Knickers. The knockoff of Snickers. I got Knickers. No, it's Nick. Look, don't do that. It's Knickers. I got Knickers. What else? I got you know what I'm saying? I got Reese's pellets. You know what I'm saying? I can't say Reese's, can I? I got Salisa's pellets. I got my niece's pieces. That's kind of gross, ain't it? You know where I'm going with this. You know I'm going with this. I'm clowning. Let me stop. Poor agriculture conditions in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Did I say that right? Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire. The world's leading, I tried 3 times, y'all. The world's leading cocoa producers have damaged crop yields in recent years, sending cocoa prices on a roller coaster ride after surging to all-time highs of more than 12 bands, y'all. $12,000 towards the end of last year. Cocoa futures have tumbled. That was before. When it hit 12, right here, I grabbed a whole bunch of cocoa before this happened. But then it dropped. And I was like, oh, I got all this cocoa. I should have got some of it off at the top. I missed out, y'all. Price volatility has left businesses in the industry on edge, and it's ultimately found its way into consumer goods. With data from Circana and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics showing chocolate prices surged 30% just this year. In its third quarter earnings report, Mondelez International, the maker of Cadbury, Milka, and Toblerone, flagged volatility of cocoa and its ability to effectively hedge against related cost pressures as potential problems that could derail the company from meeting its financial targets. So you know what that means. They're gonna substitute. They ain't finna miss those financial targets unless you figure this out. As manufacturers grapple with that unpredictability, some are opting to reduce their exposure to the cocoa market by shaking up their ingredient mix. Earlier this year, a change to the composition of McVitie's Club and Penguin candy bars made waves in the UK. I think I read about this when it was reported that products could no longer be referred to as chocolate. Both products must now be labeled chocolate flavored. So be on the lookout for chocolate flavored. Be on the lookout for, a large word real in calligraphy, and then chocolate in calligraphy under real, and then flavor real small under the calligraphy chocolate. Pay attention. In the chocolate space, there are many products, from bars to products in which cocoa is not really the protagonist, but a participant. I believe the alternative chocolate will substitute this big market, while pure chocolate bars will be more of a luxury product. Because this has to do with, my opinion, this is, the regionalization, reverse globalization. It's just going to be more expensive to get stuff that isn't produced in, North or South America. Let's just do that. $15,000 copper. Top mining CEO warns supply challenges aren't going anywhere. You following me? CNBC say create it for your account. Let me see if it works. CNBC, you on it? Nope. They ain't gonna work. They smart. That's a good headline though. Drives it home. Let's look at this. Silver. Hey, this is crazy. This right here is a 200-day. This white line is 200-day moving average. This is the moving average convergence divergence. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. This is it's called like a takeoff. This is as close to straight vertical you can get. So this right here, this is silver, like straight silver. Actually, no, this is a future contract on silver. This is silver. Man, look at that. Look at that volume, baby. Silver. Where's gold? Gold. And then, anyone who knows is like, man, yeah, I know about this. But even if you don't know charts, look at this. Look at this. This is back in August, y'all. Right here. And you'd be like, oh, where you get those indicators? I figured it out. Gold and silver prices soar to new highs as the yellow metal reemerges as a hedge. Listen, Basel 3. BASEL 3. Number 3. It reclassified gold as a tier 1 asset. This was like 2 years ago. It's just now starting to take effect. The world is changing. The currency is going to change. A lot is going to change, y'all, especially over the next couple years. But I'm gonna keep doing the current events. If y'all are continue to be interested in my little take on what's happening. I said I was gonna do positive news. I'm gonna start doing positive news. To me, this is positive news. And if you paid attention to what I've been saying over the years, you're in a good position. You're in a great position. Currency is not money. Paper is not money. Money is tangible. It's actual. It's substance. Currency notes is not substance. And, a lot of people are waking up to the game. This right here, and this price action, right? And where you see silver now is just the beginning. And I said, I was like, silver will hit 70 by next week. And this is the week that I said it. This is prior. What you see right now is prior to what they call Main Street waking up, which is the average consumer. When the average consumer realizes what's going on in gold and silver and they start doing the fear of missing out, the FOMO dance, you're going to see some unnatural actions. But this right here, good news. So this is the good news part of the show. I hope you like the good news that we've been adding to the show. I trust that it's not even the show, current events. Show's on Wednesday, y'all. But I'm out. I trust y'all enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something. Make sure you take care of yourself. Be safe. And say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night. It's important. And I'll catch y'all on current events tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be crazy. With one positive story. Peace, y'all.